Here we go then. So it's been a little while since I've worked for this company because I've been away working at other places, but I've got some videos that I never released, so I'm going to be doing those for spread them out over a few weeks. I think there's a few lined up, so they just need voiceovers. But in this one I'm painting two colours in the same booth. You could work dark to light or light to dark. In this case it really didn't matter, as one of the main colours that will cover black is white, and black will cover most any other colour, so it just depends on what you're painting really. But we've got the black trim here for the lower part of the front bumper, and this being the standox system, it all goes in with one coat and a drop, so it's easy enough for me to just put these two colours in for the one job in the same booth load, and there's no waiting around for another part to come out another time. You know, if we'd thrown the black part in with another black car. So knowing that any black overspray, although it will be minimal should I say, that will land on this car, because I'm painting the full wing and the full bumper, any little bit of black speck or whatever that lands in this is going to be covered no problem. Again, the standox system has great coverage because it's supposed to be put on in a coat and a half. You're not going to have any coverage issues over any little tiny black speck that might have came across from the black spoiler. So I wasn't worried, and neither should you be really. And you'll just see, just taking time to take the edges, make sure those edges are painted there. Especially on these BMWs, the light doesn't quite cover the sort of top swage line in certain areas, so any little bit of dry spray will be visible and it'll be really hard to polish. So just, you see here, I'm just getting my hands in and out underneath the trestle there, just making sure I'm getting all those edges. Not every part is hidden by a grill, or, you know, because there's a lot of grills in this bumper. If you don't get the paint exactly where it needs to be and as even as possible, it's going to be a hard job to touch up. Most likely you're going to end up, at the very minimum, re-clearing it, if not repainting it. So it's just one of those for now. Just take your time and make sure that you're getting your edges done as well as you can. You see here, solid white. People can have issues with it. I do recall people having issues with if you over apply this base coat, especially on the solid colours, you can tend to get they look like fisheye when you clear coat it. So that obviously it's not ideal. You see again here, just getting in the edges. But if you don't let this paint dry properly, you will get kind of a fisheye look in certain areas with the standox system. They do have a video on their YouTube page about how to fix it, but it's just one of these things. Just don't over apply it. Obviously you want coverage. I mean you can see as well here, I'm putting it on quite wet. I'm just not hoofing it on. Solid colours with the standox system. If you need to do two coats, you can do two coats. It's not advised really with your pearls and metallics, because it kind of draws into itself, but if it's a solid colour and it draws into itself, it's the same colour. Whereas if a metallic draws into itself where it's sort of wet in an area where you've had to touch it up, you'll leave like a ring, almost like a halo, that you'll see where it's been touched up. So white, red, black, you know, solid colours like that, you can get away with it. It's just be careful overloading it, otherwise you will end up with some sort of fisheye effect in the clear coat. But with this, you know, we were happy enough. There was no issues. Then you'll see here, breaking out the GTI Pro Light. I've got the Wacom adapter on there just to check. 29 PSI, which is 2 bar. And the nice thing about this regulator is it can be removed. The GTI Pro Light that I'm using is a 1.2, and it's the T110 air cap. It's the one that's got a bit of a flatter pattern to it, so you can get a real nice glossy finish, which is what I always shoot for. I did do a video a while back about matching orange peel, but to be honest, I really don't do that unless the orange peel is bad, like that car was. Most other cars I try and get as good a finish as I can. I know a lot of people do try and match textures, especially in the US, and that's quite interesting. But for me, I need this car as good as I can get it, and then that way I don't have to spend any time after the fact polishing and things like that. The cleaner you can have your job, the better for me. The less orange peel, the less time I'm spending polishing. It'd be a shame to have a real nice clean job with no dirt in it, but then have to polish most of the panel anyway because it's really orange peely. So for me, guns like this with the different air caps, the GTI Pro Light here with the T110, it just gets that finish on exactly where I want it. And again, you just see here, just making sure I'm getting them edges. You'll see in some of my early videos with the sort of worst quality, that was a BMW place, and I'm familiar with the sort of the failure points. That's what I was saying before. These edges aren't always covered by grills. Knowing what you can and can't get away with is just, for me, just make sure you've got in all your edges in where the headlights sit. There is a small lip there. You'll see there's kind of a swage line as it folds round. Not all of that is covered, so making sure that you've got enough paint in there, you know, is a lifesaver at the end of the day. If you haven't got any paint in there and they put the headlight on and it's kind of like got a dry spray or a really heavy texture because you haven't gone right to the edge. Yeah, I've seen them fail cars for that, and it's not devastating. But if you don't pick up on it, and you we call them trimmers, but the guys who put the car back together, if they put all these grills in, they put all the sensors back in, the lights, they get it all lined up, they pay all that attention to it, and then it fails because you've got a small amount of dry spray on an edge under the headlight that can't be polished and it can't be rescued easily. It's devastating. It has to go back through the process again. It has to be re-stripped, re-prepped, you know, just because you've not took the time to make sure you've got all your edges covered. And I know I bang on about it. It's just one of them. It's a bugbear for me. I've had it happen to me. I've had it happen to guys that I work with. It's one of them. Just from experience, if you can get it and get it first try, you know, it's kind of the same as cleaning the job. If you can spend that extra couple of minutes making sure that the job is done right, it can save a whole bunch of time on the other end. Painting things once, taking an extra 10-15 minutes is much quicker than painting the job twice. And I can tell you that from experience. I've had to do it myself. Again, mentioned in one of my own videos, there's one a bit further back at that BMW place where just about everything that could go wrong went wrong for me. I had a fly stuck in it. I had a small run off of a swage line. Missed a burn through from the prep. It wasn't bad, but that job had to be done twice, so it's twice as much material. Although I did try and remedy it in such a way where we didn't have to take it out and unmask it and all that sort of thing, but it's not a fun job. It's not a fun thing to do, to paint yourself into a corner where it's, I need to sort that out. I suppose in a larger shop you might be able to get away with it if you've got enough cars going through different ovens and things like that. It's not hard to, I wouldn't say hide a rework, but it's not hard to kind of send it out and let it go back into the workflow. But in a small place like this where every job that comes out is an important job and it has to be as good as it can be, then just take the time. Again, edges. Sound like I know what I'm talking about, don't I, to be honest? But it's right is right, isn't it? It's if that goes out first try, everybody's happy. If it goes out and it has to be done again, then you know I'm not a fan. I hate having to do stuff twice, especially if it's my fault. Don't get me wrong, it's annoying if it's somebody else's fault, but if it's me, if I've just not paid enough attention and missed one of those edges and it has to be redone because of me, then I take it personally. But on the getting off of the subject, look at the fan pattern on this gun. I do forget how nice the GTI Pro Light is. Such a nice gun. I've got quite a few Qualcomms in my case now. That I've been using them for that long. You tend to forget, so it is nice to break out a different gun every now and again, and just have a play with it. I mean, this clear coat in here, it's is it a 3-to-1? I think it's a 3-to-1, this clear coat, and I put 10% thinner in. I think it calls for 5, but I put in 10. Again, just to help me reduce that orange peel a little bit. But this is a 1.2, and it's just handling it lovely. You can see here everything's nice and glossy, how it should be. Yeah, it's one of these. I'll need to get my hands on a DeVille Biss again, I think, just to... I mean, I've still got this gun, but the what are the new ones called? The DV1. I have used them in the past. I've been lucky enough that other painters that I've worked with have had the gun and let me have a play with it. But it was never something that caught my eye. I've always been a fan of SATA guns, but they're always right at the top end of what you can buy. So it's one of these. You could buy 2 GTI Pro Lights for 1 SATA, so it's always been one of them for me. Could I have more guns and a bit more versatility? Because you could buy different setups. You could buy a base coat and a clear coat setup for the cost of 1 SATA, but I still love SATA. I still, you do want to spend that money, because they're worth it. It's the same with you sort of middle of the road guns. The DeVille Biss, Segola, Qualcomm, and Fuji, they're all around the same sort of price point, so there's a lot of choice, a lot of options. But the GTI here has done really, really well. You see here, just have a little look over. Real nice flat finish. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. Car goes out the door. So I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.